Howdy partners, it's your old buddy the Reddit writer. Welcome back to the Reddit Ranch. Come in and sit a spell and listen to the mighty fine tales I gotta tell. Our first tale from the old Reddit trail is from a little lady whose boyfriend is forced to take in his 2 kids when his ex done passed. The problem is, she isn't ready, or even remotely interested in being their new mama.
AITA for leaving my boyfriend when his ex passed, leaving him to take care of his kids full time? I'm 26, and I have been with my 30-year-old BF for 2 years now. He has 2 kids, a son who's 6, and a daughter who's 4 with his ex-GF. She moved to another state with the kids to be near her family when they broke up 3 years ago. He got them on vacations only. I knew all this when I started dating him. I had no issue with this, but told him forefront I can't be a parent. I was parentified by my mom and raised my 5 younger siblings. The oldest of them is 6 years younger than me, and I had to change his diapers and feed him formula. I went LC with my family when I left home at 18. I can't imagine doing that again. He was also snipped after the last kid and didn't want more kids. He was fine with me not wanting to be a parent and just be a bonus adult. We were taking it slow, and I didn't even meet his kids until a few months back. We took a trip together and got along great. Things changed 2 months ago when his ex passed. The kids were really crushed as they moved into his house. We were not living together, but he asked if I could move in to help him out. Just for a while. I couldn't refuse and stayed. But I started hating it again. I hated how clingy the kids became and how much responsibility I had. I did my best, but my mental health started getting worse every day. I didn't even get help from my BF, 'cause he was struggling too. Last week was especially bad since the younger kid had a cold and wanted me to nurse her back to health exactly as her mom would have. The soup wasn't the same, the song and story wasn't told the same way, I didn't hug her the way her mom did, etc. were some of the long list of complaints. I know she is grieving, but I was already working from home and stressed too. When I told my BF he should take over, he said they need me more since I am a mom. It triggered me. I didn't want to be held to a mom's responsibilities again. I told him I can't do this. He said I needed to stop acting like a child and step up. I understood. If I stayed, my whole life would be like this. Never measuring up. Never being enough. And all the responsibilities of a mom. I left yesterday. Moved in with a friend. My BF, ex-BF, is blasting my phone calling me an AH. AITA?
No ma'am, you ain't a sidewinder. Y'all's way out of your comfort zone, and you know that you're not equipped to be a parent because of y'all's past. As for your ex, he's wrong, I plumb reckon they don't need you to be a pretend ma. They need their father. However, moving forward, if I can give y'all a bit of advice, when it comes to dating, you may want to make it clear that you have no interest in youngings, or becoming a parent so you can find a guy who has no youngings and no desire to have any. Because, as you have seen, if you meet a guy that has youngings, even if they don't live with him, that situation can change in a heartbeat. Wow, partners, I really feel for those 2 youngings. What would you have done if you were her? Have any of you had a similar experience? Let me know in the comments. Our next one was by a cowpoke that, oh my sweet lord, he didn't. He, sorta sold his house without telling his wife. Well now, all I can really say is this good old boy is braver than I am.
AITA for selling our house without informing my wife? My wife and I have been married for many years, but before we got married, I had built up a substantial wealth. When we got married, I opted for a prenuptial agreement and complete separation of assets. She also had a significant premarital wealth. Besides the house we currently live in, I still own a beautiful apartment in the same city that I usually rent out, but it's currently vacant. Over the past 2 years, we've had many discussions about moving to a smaller town and getting a house near the beach. 2 months ago, we bought the house for our upcoming move. We've already made the renovations we wanted, bought furniture, and will be moving into the new house soon. Since we won't be living in this city anymore, I didn't see a reason to keep the house we currently live in and sold it without notifying my wife. Considering it's solely my asset, I didn't see the need to inform her in advance. Plus, selling and buying property is always a stressful process. On the day I finalized the sale, I told her that I had sold the house, and she was furious with me for not letting her know. She mentioned that she still needs a residence in this city and intends to come here frequently. I explained to her that I still have the apartment, which we can use whenever we need to be in the city, so there shouldn't be an issue. She remains upset with me, claiming that I didn't treat her like a wife by not involving her in such an important decision. On the other hand, I believe I didn't leave her without an address in the city, and the house was always exclusively my asset, just as she has her own wealth. She argues that it's a completely different situation because it's the house we've been living in, and we're moving in the next few days. AITA? Edit, just to clarify a few things, we have about 45 days to move out of the house, and we already had our move to the new house scheduled for the upcoming days. I thought she agreed to sell, as we both agreed that the house was too big and required a lot of maintenance. So selling it was always the next step.
I'm sorry, partner, but y'all are a sidewinder. When it comes to any big decision, it should always be discussed, regardless whose name is on the deed. I mean, she still had an interest in the house. When y'all's hitched, you need to be partners in all things. How do you think you'd feel if it was reversed? And selling a house is a decision you both should have made as partners. Well now, partners, what would y'all have done if you were his wife? Has anyone ever done something like that to you? Tell me below. Next we have a story from a filly whose parents are trying to force her to take her new baby on a 10-hour plane trip to come to their country. Whoa, are y'all kidding me? I reckon that idea ain't none too bright no matter how you look at it.
AITA for refusing to go on a 10-hour-plus flight with my baby? Long story short, my parents hate my husband. But because I am their child, they accepted him for my happiness. Context: my mom was fine with him until my dad found out. I told my mom first. It's not like he's a bad person. My parents just had someone else in mind. Anyways, my parents moved back to where we are from while I stayed, and I eventually met my husband. We've been dating since we were 19, and we kept our relationship secret from my parents for years until he proposed to me. Now I just gave birth to our first child, and obviously my parents want to meet him. The thing is, they live nowhere near North America and the flight would be miserable. I hate flying in general, but with a baby, I get anxious thinking about it. I've put it off for a long time and even asked my parents if they could fly over. We'd pay for everything, but they said it was disrespectful for me to even ask. I've been stuck in a thing of, fine, we'll come, and no, I can't do this, and it's affecting my whole life. My mom calls me twice a day just to remind me that I have to come and that she wants to see her grandbaby before he gets too big, but I finally came to the conclusion that I can't. He's a fussy baby and needs to be held by me a lot. He lets his dad hold him for a couple hours, but then he won't stop crying till I hold him. I can't do that on a plane. And I'm terrified of the reaction we might get since he does make a lot of noise. If it was a smaller flight I could make do, but it would be over 10 hours. I'm exhausted just thinking about it, and then I have to deal with my parents and their passive-aggressive comments right after. I called my mom and told her that we won't be coming. She got very angry and kept ranting about my husband keeping us away from them. She eventually said, "Forget it, we don't want to see his child. Don't call us again." My aunt, who I don't talk to, said that she's very upset with me, and my mom has been so excited to see the baby, but we crushed her. Apparently, dad doesn't want to see the baby, but mom really does, but she refuses to travel without him, which is why she's been pushing me so hard. I feel bad because I know how much my mom adores babies and I get she's in a tough spot, but I can't fly for over 10 hours with a 4-month-old. AITA.
No ma'am, you ain't a sidewinder. You're 100% correct. I reckon it would be a lot easier for them to come to you than for you to force your younging to endure a 10-hour flight. As for them blaming your husband for your decision, my wife and I have gone through something similar. My wife went no contact with most of her family, and of course they blamed me, but the fact is, that choice had nothing to do with me. She chose to go no contact because of the way they treated her, but they all figured that I was keeping her from them. It's like the thought that maybe, just maybe they just got her all riled up never occurred to them. Neither you or your husband is preventing your parents from seeing your younging, they are doing that themselves. Well partners, I just gotta say, I just don't get some people. I mean, why would her parents not get on the plane to come and meet their grandchild? It would not even have cost them anything. Why? Just because they didn't like who she done chose to marry? Oh, tough buffalo chips. That shouldn't matter one bit. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Our last story for the day is about a lady who tragically lost her sister who left behind a daughter. Now her parents are trying to force her to adopt her niece.
AITA for not wanting to adopt my sister's kid. My sister passed away in a brutal accident a few days ago. My point here is not to talk about the sadness and grief I am feeling right now. My sister was very mean to me and my family my whole life, until she started, ironically a month before the accident, to see a psychologist and make amends. She likely had BPS, although she was never diagnosed officially. I put as much distance as possible with her and we rarely talked. I also distanced myself from the rest of my family. I was often neglected and not protected from my sister's behavior by my parents. My father was absent and careless. My mom was very present but fragile. I was the strong child, quiet, who hid her tears, who did well in school. When I got the opportunity, I moved far away, to a different country, to avoid the family drama. Every time my family reaches out to me with more drama news, your sister got arrested was the most recent one, before she passed, I become really sad and depressed. I built a life for myself that I love. Love my city, love my job, makes a good living, have a lot of friends. My sister leaves behind a 5-year-old adorable kid, my niece. My niece's dad passed away 2 years ago of a heart attack. He was a former alcoholic. My mum and stepdad decided to take care of my niece for now, but they are 69, and worried about how they will handle a young child at their age. I feel very guilty that this heavy task goes to them. My mum has asked several times if I could do it. I am 35, and in a relationship that started 6 months ago. I live alone in a small apartment. Neither me nor my boyfriend know if we will ever feel ready to have children. I often think I just don't want them. I like my life a lot as it is. I love my freedom. I always thought having a child was too much commitment for me to take. I was super nervous just thinking of adopting my cats. I feel a lot of guilt for not wanting to adopt my niece, and, at the same time, resentment towards my sister. I feel like I have to pick up the pieces again. I chose not to be a parent precisely because I am not sure I can be a good parent. I feel like it was irresponsible of my sister to have a kid. She was a great, loving mum, but I sensed that she might not be able to maintain that responsibility given her unstable state. I don't know what to tell my mom when I'll fly there and will meet her. I'm terrified and extremely anxious. I do not want to take care of a child right now, and I don't know that I will in years from now. We will have to find a solution, my mum said. But why would the solution be me? AITA.
Well ma'am, first let me say how very sorry I am for your loss. And no, you ain't a sidewinder. I'm not sure that it would be the best idea for you to adopt your niece to begin with. I mean, Y'all already said that you're not ready to have a younging, and you may not ever be ready to. But, how well does she even know you? Because you live so far away, you're practically a stranger. Your folks, she knows better. As for what to tell your folks when you see them, just repeat the last couple of lines from your post. That seemed to sum things up pretty good. Wow, partners, that poor kid. A true innocent. What would you do if you were her aunt? Would you have adopted her, or not? Let me know in the comments. Well, I plumb reckon that's all the time we got today, but if y'all like this here video then please, hit like and subscribe, it'll really make this old cowpoke smile. And if y'all got anything to say, then feel free to tell me what's on your mind down in the comments. Until y'all come back to the Reddit Ranch. Adios.